So we've made it to lesson 20. This is an epic moment for everybody. I'm so proud of you if you are still here. Super duper proud of you. Oh my goodness. You've made my day. So in lesson 20 on page 35, the song's called Noah's Ark, but we are going to start by looking at what's at the top. That's called the tied notes. Okay, and I'm going to explain what ties are. And we're going to have a look at what ties do, why they're important, okay? So in this video, we are going to talk about lesson 20. It starts off the top. It says tied notes. I'm just calling them ties because that's what we call them anyway. But it's when you have two notes and you're going to use that curl again. So it kind of looks like a slur. But with a tie, you can only go from one note to the note next to it, okay? You're not going to have lots of notes within a tie. You're only going to have one note and you're going to tie it to the next note. Ties can only happen between two notes. And the other important thing is that a tie can only happen between two notes that are the same. So between a cat and a cat, between a dog and a dog, between an elephant and an elephant. Now, this cat on the piano has to be exactly the same cat. Okay, it has to be the same key. You can't tie this cat to the cat that's all the way up here on the piano. Okay, it has to be the same cat that we're tying. And the reason for this, what I always explain to all of my students is, you have to imagine that this is a shoe. Okay, you know those sneakers or sand shoes, whatever you want to call it, that have laces? Okay, now, on your shoe, you have two laces, right? But it has to be the same shoe, because what happens if you tie laces from one shoe to another shoe and then you try to walk? What happens? You can't walk, right? Because the laces are from two different shoes, so you're going to fall over. More than likely, you're going to fall over. So these two laces have to be from the same shoe, the same key. Do you understand? So the same cat or the same dog. Now, the whole point of a tie, what does it mean? You're probably thinking. If you look at Noah's Ark on page 35 for me, you will see at the end that there's a dotted long note and there's a curl and then there's another dotted long note. And again, the curl isn't as exaggerated as this one. It's much smaller, okay, in the music. It's about there in the music, but I couldn't get one smaller than that on my computer, so you'll have to bear with me. Now, these two dotted long notes have this lovely curl joining them. If you notice, it's a cat, and it's going to another cat. Now, in your book, this cat does not have a cross through it, the second cat, but I need you to go and get a lead pencil because I do this for all of my students. Get a lead pencil right now. Pause the video if you need to. You got your lead pencil? On this second cat, I need you to put a cross through it just like mine. Okay? It doesn't need to be red. I just made mine red because there's so much black. I wanted it to be more obvious. But in the music, I always just use a lead pencil and cross it off. Okay? There's a reason for that. Now, what happens is we add this note to this note. We pop this one on top of that one. So both of the dotted long notes are worth 3. This one is worth 3 and this one is worth 3. But we are adding this one to this one. Okay, just like the two laces, we tie them all together and make one big bow. That's what we're doing with our tie. We are tying these two notes together and making one big, longer note, okay? So we don't play this note. That's why I like to put a big cross on it. We are not playing this note. We are adding it to the first one. And that's why here, you'll notice in my sheet, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not like the top. On the top of the page, you'll see that the tie says 1, 2, 3, and then it's got another 1, 2, 3. And I don't think that's obvious that that's what we're doing. So if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at the end of your music, it's more obvious that we've added this one to this one and we're making a longer sound. So when we get to that cat, we're going to play it and we're going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we are not going to play it again because we've added this one to that one. Do you understand? So it's very important when you have ties, you put a big cross through that one and that you add this, you add them together. 3 plus 3 makes, there you go, you can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it makes 6. So we start counting when we get to that note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's how ties work. So if you think of a shoe and you think of the 2 laces and you tie them together and you make a big bow out of the 2, that's how ties work, okay? Because we have to tie our laces. We're tying the notes. From the 2, we are making one big one, okay? Easy. Okay, so how did you go with tied notes? Hopefully it was easy to understand. Tied notes are between 2 notes of the same name, but it also has to be the same key on the piano. Okay, so if it's a cat, it has to be the same cat. It can't be a cat up here and a cat down here. You can't tie them together because the whole point is that that cat, we want to make it longer. That's how ties work. So it's the same key. It can be a cat to a cat. It can be a frog to a frog. Okay, but it has to be the same frog on the piano. That's the important thing to understand with ties. We add the second note to the first note. And it's like he gives him a piggyback ride across the line, right? This one hops onto this one, makes him longer. And because he makes him heavier, now he has to take longer to get across. That's another way to think of it if you like.